Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. Yeah, that's how I feel. Haven't felt this way in a while because we've been running good until yesterday. What's up, everybody? It's Bettor Off Dead. I'm Toad. It's Monday, I think, October 20th. 1-3 on the show yesterday. NFL obviously did not go well. New Orleans Saints put themselves in a hole, made it look like maybe they'd be able to come back, get within that number. That didn't happen. I did not even watch any of the game. Haven't looked at the box score. It was a loss. Denver. I'm gonna stop giving out plays on teams in that return from London, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Like, I don't know what that was. Although I'm a Jackson Dart fan, so it was good to see him look good in a very difficult environment. He wasn't bad. I mean, actually, both quarterbacks were struggling-ish early, especially Bo Nix. And they wound up kind of having even-ish stats between the two of them on the game, but that was ridiculous if you didn't see it. Giants had a 19-0 lead going into the fourth quarter. Looked like game basically over. And then their defense was really the reason why they lost that game. They completely imploded. Denver had the largest amount of points scored in the fourth quarter by any team that had not scored through the first 3 quarters ever in an NFL game, with 33 in the fourth quarter to win 33-32. And probably the Giants still should have won the game because they missed 2 extra points in the game because they have some kicker that I think they just picked up off of the street. I have no idea who this guy is. And he missed the crucial extra point at the end of the game after Jackson Dart rushed it in, although the refs pretty much gave the Giants that entire drive on 2 pass interference penalties, I think, or 1 pass interference and 1 other penalty. I forget. I think it was 2 pass interference. Whatever it was. They get in. They're about to go up 3. Oh, yeah, let's miss another extra point. Don't even know who that kicker is. The Giants had signed Younghoe Koo, and I don't know where that guy is because it wasn't him. He's at least an experienced kicker. The Falcons got rid of him after he missed that crucial field goal in the first game. But, I mean, he could still do things. I think he's got to be better than whoever the hell this Giants kicker is right now. I don't know what the hell that was. And then, of course, Denver is able to get, like, 1 huge play, basically, get into field goal range. They wind up winning the game, although I had Denver in Survivor for full disclosure. I should just go with the ballsier Survivor picks, man. The last 3 weeks, I was seriously considering Saints, Raiders, Browns, and I'd still be alive, and I'd have used those teams, which you're never going to want to use those teams again. Man, I should have just done it. I absolutely should have done it. I'm still alive, though, and I'm still alive in college football Survivor as well. So there is that. But, yeah, I mean, I was basically preparing my funeral yesterday. Figuring out what I was going to write on my tombstone because I thought Denver was done. And of course, they still didn't cover, obviously. They had no chance to cover that number, so that's great. Other than, maybe if there was a pick six or a fumble six there instead of that dart touchdown drive with the dart run into the end zone there. I don't know. And then the Anaheim Ducks also lost, so that was great. We lose a road favorite there. That was a 1-1 game, and they lose in either overtime or shootout. I don't know. I didn't watch any of the game. I didn't look at the stats yet to see if it was anything misleading about it. Don't know. I could dig into it later. And then the San Francisco 49ers did get the win for us. Really good defensive performance, man. And I forgot to even mention that San Francisco actually lost Warner as well, who is basically he's their captain on defense. So they're without their two best defensive players at this point. And their defense was still really good last night. Robert Saleh, I mean, he's the real deal, man. He sucks as a head coach, or maybe the Jets organization just really, really sucks. But he's been excellent as a DC in San Francisco. San Francisco, I think they have the best coaching staff in the league, man. I mean, what they're doing with that team, like that team is absolutely crippled by injuries. They have nobody on that team, and they're 5-2, and they keep winning. I mean, it's crazy. Their defense looks good. I mean, it's insane. So we did get the win on that one. So at least there was that. Jeffrey, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Does it reflect well on the Giants? It doesn't reflect well on the Giants' defense, that's for sure. I know Dart had that one really ugly pick during that fourth quarter, but I don't think it was – the loss was not really on him, man. He was better early in the game. Like, he did way better than I thought he would. I thought he was going to get crushed by that Denver defense. He didn't really. I mean, he was not really intimidated. I mean, Denver might have the best defense in the NFL, man. I mean, they're one of the top few defenses, and for the Giants to put up that many points in that game on the road – I don't really think it was Dart's fault. It was the Giants' defense was at fault there, and maybe some of the coaching and the kicker. I think they're more at fault than Dart is. Dart maybe slightly because he did have that one big mistake, but he was pretty good overall, or at least not. I know his completion percentage wasn't that good, but he wasn't that bad. Redskins game was brutal. I should have given out Dallas as a play, to be honest. I mean, I had Dallas right. It was one of my worst pick'em weeks, so I apologize for that. I told you the board was really difficult for me to read this week. Dallas was one of the ones that I got correct. Jaden Daniels got hurt in the game too, but I think Dallas was going to win anyway. That Washington defense is no good. I know Dallas isn't either, but it also seemed like a game. I told you guys, it seemed like a really public over in that game, and it still went over the total. I mean, I was like, I don't think I'd want to be on an under in that game. Those defenses, they're both bad. Dallas's offense is pretty good, though. And I was up against Dak Prescott and Pickens in my fantasy league, but I think I'm going to win anyway. I could go to 6-1 here in my main league because I have Jonathan Taylor, baby, and I have Keenan Allen, and I have Patrick Mahomes. I had the Carolina defense. I'm good at streaming defenses. I'm up by 82 points in that league in a half-point PPR. I have Sam Laporta left tonight. My opponent has Rashad White, Tampa Bay's kicker, McLaughlin, and he has who else does he have? I forget. He has some wide receiver tonight, too. I can't remember which one. So he's got Nico Collins is who he has. So he has some pretty good players left. I better still win, man. Up 82 points right now. I better still win. The Red Wings won again. They're off to a really good start, man. Let's get into today. I'm going to have two plays today, which are I'm going to have a play in the baseball game. It's been a while for the baseball plays, and then I'm going to have a hockey play as well. There's not a whole lot going on the board today, so let's do it. Major League Baseball, we do have ALCS Game 7. Toronto, as you can see here, is up from -120 to -126 on the money line. 69% of tickets, 80% of the cash on Toronto. Man, if Seattle blows this series, man, I mean, that would be very Seattle-esque, though, wouldn't it? Seattle, they're a team that's still never made the World Series in their franchise history. They've never been in the World. I think they're the only team in Major League Baseball that has never been in a World Series. There are teams that haven't won a World Series, but they've all been in a World Series before, which I believe includes Milwaukee and San Diego. Seattle hasn't even been there. They're up 2-0 on the road in this series, even though Toronto's a really good home team. And now they're on the verge of potentially losing. It comes down to this one game, and they're up 3-2, and they still might lose. Oh, boy. So what do I think about this game? Well, the money is saying Toronto, and yeah, you know what? Fuck it. This is the best. This whole show is the best bet segment. How about that? Even though I don't have a play in the Monday Night Football games tonight. That sounds weird. Plural games. Shouldn't happen, man. Whoops. Whatever. Double best bets. I have 2 best bets. I'm clicking on the wrong things here, man. I'm going to go with Toronto in this game, -122. I know it would end my bracket. As you guys know, I have Seattle winning the World Series over the Dodgers in my bracket. It's not going to happen, man. I'm going to tell you that right now. Toronto, they're really good at home. It comes down to a game 7 like this. I just think they're going to get it. Seattle was below 500 on the road this season still, mostly because their pitchers are just all worse on the road, and I think that's going to, again, be the case here. I know the road team won the first 4 games of the series, but the last 2 games were both won by the home team. You got to think that both of these teams are so much better at home than they are on the road. You got to think that that kind of regression trend will continue, and that in a one-game, like basically we're down to a 1-game series here, you got to think the home team has an advantage, partially for that reason. Toronto was 54-27 at home this year. Very good at home. I'm not going to go against it. Toronto was able to do it last night. Yes, Savage was better, as I predicted he would be last night. Toronto's bullpen is actually not in terrible shape. They used one of their back end of their bullpen to finish the game with Hoffman, so he's probably not available here, although it's Game 7, so weird things can happen in Game 7. You never really know what's going to happen, but their closer basically has been Dominguez. He's still available. Basically, almost their entire bullpen is available here, so that's pretty good for the Jays. Seattle didn't use that much of their bullpen either, but they did use Bizzardo, and he is like kind of their closer, or closer-ish. I don't know why they would have used him last night, but they did. So I think Seattle used somewhat more high-leverage arms than Toronto did. So even though I think Seattle generally has a better bullpen, I think it kind of evens out. We're going to go full game on this one, man. I think the home edge coming into play, the bullpen's not really being a huge edge one way or the other, which I think you can't even get a cheaper price on this. If you want to go, I think you can, actually. You can get a cheaper price on the first 5 inning, actually. You can get -120, I think, on Toronto in the first 5 innings. So if you want to go with Toronto in the first 5 innings, you could do that. I mean, that's another option in this game. I'm recommending full game. I would either do this or the first 5 innings on Toronto on the money line, because obviously I do think they have the edge in the starting pitching matchup, where I probably would not be doing the full game play either. But that is what I'm doing, obviously. Toronto also has the better offense here. Toronto's offense has been actually like the best in baseball since the All-Star break. George Kirby is pitching for Seattle. Had a pretty good season, 4.21 ERA, 1.19 whip. Wasn't good on the road, though. 5.16 road ERA. He was significantly worse on the road, like 2 runs higher ERA-wise on the road. And he wasn't even good at home in this series. He had 1 start at home, which that was the other game. I was on Toronto in that game too, by the way. That was the other, I think that might have been the only other game I actually gave out a play on in this series. I was on Toronto in that one in Game 3 when they were down 0-2. And they blew up Kirby, even though he was in that pitcher-friendly park at home. And he's better at home, and he gave up 8 earned runs on 3 home runs in only 4 innings. 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. He got absolutely destroyed. I'm not saying he's going to get wrecked to that degree again, but I don't think that's a good sign, man. And part of my handicap on that, though, was that he had pitched in that 15-inning game. He was on somewhat short rest, and which he's not really on short rest. Well, he is. He's on the same rest here. So between the first 2 games of the playoffs, he pitched 6 days later after the first time he pitched against Detroit. But then after the second time he pitched against Detroit, he only pitched 5 days later, and that's what he's doing again here. So I actually think his schedule is a little bit off here, and he's not really used to the being on somewhat shorter rest here. He's not really used to the playoff grind, in my opinion. He's the more inexperienced pitcher here. This is a game 7, man. I think experience does matter, and the experience edge is going to go to Toronto's starting pitcher in this one. It's not going to go to Kirby. Kirby also is not good against Toronto. 71 career at-bats. He does have a 12-2 strikeout walk ratio against them, which is good, but they've hit him hard. 310 batting average against him and 864 OPS against him. They hit him well. They have multiple batters who hit him pretty well, so I do not think this looks very good for Kirby in this one for all of those reasons. Bad matchup numbers, bad at home. Bad on the road, inexperience. He's going up against Shane Bieber, the Biebs. You know I like this guy, even though some of the advanced analytics guys think that Bieber wasn't really that good this year. I look at the old school numbers, and I say that he kind of was. 3.57 ERA, 1.02 whip. I don't think you could have a whip that low and really be considered to be like bad or anything like that. I mean, that is a really good whip. I know it's in a small sample size. I know Bieber was coming back from having Tommy John surgery. He missed, I think, an entire season. But to me, his numbers looked pretty good to me this season. He's a very experienced pitcher. He's a Cy Young winner, or he was in the Cy Young race, I think, multiple times back when he was on Cleveland, and he's pitched in the playoffs before, prior to this year, too. He's got the experience, man. I mean, he's a veteran pitcher, man. So we're going to go with him in this one. He was also better at home this year, 3.27 ERA. He's made 2 starts in the playoffs here. He was a little bit shaky against the Yankees in his first one, but he was much better in the next one. He did pitch on like 7 days rest, though. He pitched 8 days later after that Yankees start when he was in that game against Seattle, which, by the way, that was the same pitching matchup, that game where I was on Toronto. So I'm going right back to the well, and I'm going with Toronto again with the exact same pitching matchup this time, which Toronto won that game at Seattle 13-4. I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but I do think it's a pitching mismatch. Bieber gave up 2 runs in the first inning of that game, and he completely settled down. He wound up with a really nice start. Went 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, remained only allowing those 2 earned runs on 4 hits. That's not bad at all. That was a really nice start out of him. He didn't overexert him or overextend himself. He threw 88 pitches. That's not bad. Not a high pitch total, really, especially for a veteran like him. And the other good thing about Bieber, which I pointed out last time we went with him, is that he didn't pitch that much this season. He came back in late August, so he is not burned out right now, man. He only threw 40 1/3 innings during the regular season, and then he's thrown only like 8 2/3 more in the playoffs. So he should be pretty fresh, man, just like those Dodgers pitcher. So I think it's a good scenario here. You got a veteran, very experienced pitcher who's been really good throughout his career. He was good this year too. He seems to be back in form again, and he is not overworked this year. That's all good. He is pitching on the same amount of rest as Kirby this time, though, with just 4 or 5 days in between these 2 starts. So he last pitched on that same day on the 15th, but again, I think that's where the experience factor comes in. He's used to it. He's used to the pressure of like a situation like this, a really key playoff game like this. I'm going to go with the experience again with Bieber. But on top of that, he has good numbers against Seattle, 131 career at-bats. He has a dominant 52-6 strikeout walk ratio against them, 221 average allowed, and 546 OPS allowed. So it all lines up pretty well here. We will go with Toronto. The money seems to agree with it as well. Even though the public is somewhat siding with Toronto at this point, they're not always wrong, especially, in baseball, you can only be, there's only one baseball game. And it's like, if you're going to play that game, you got to choose one side. But it seems like the professional money is on the same side as the public in this one. It does kind of mean the books are probably going to want that side to go down, but I think it's the right side. The total's sitting at 7.5, which seems low for a game in Toronto, which is not as pitcher-friendly as Seattle's ballpark. I know it is still a playoff game, though, and you still have 2 pitchers who are generally pretty good, but I don't think I would want to touch an under in this one. 81% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the over. I would probably agree with that money, too, a slight lean to an over, but I think Toronto is the better way to play this game. That's what we're going to do here on the show. Toronto Blue Jays to eliminate my bracket, unfortunately. But that's what I think is going to happen. Saab, what's up, man? What do you mean, no Justin? Justin who? What are we talking about? You have a plus 1,700 ticket on the Blue Jays to win it all. That was a good time to play it after they went down 0-2 in the series. Or if you had played them on the series price just to win this series, that would have been good too. I'm going to be honest. I think the Dodgers are going to win it again. Their pitching rotation is just too good, although it's going to be interesting because Dodgers, Blue Jays, they both have a weakness in the bullpen, which is going to be interesting. But I do think the Dodgers' rotation is just so strong. I actually think Seattle would be better equipped to beat Toronto, the Dodgers, because Seattle's a more balanced team, in my opinion. Toronto is more offensive oriented. Yeah, their offense is one of the ones that is almost at the level of the Dodgers. So there is that at least, which Seattle's a little bit behind that. But yeah, it was definitely solid value. You could hedge if you want. Once you get, you could hedge. Well, I wouldn't hedge here because I think Toronto's going to win the game. So I probably wouldn't even hedge it on this one, but there is hedging opportunity here if you want. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, Justin Bieber. Yes, Shane is not Justin. Yeah, that is correct. Shane Bieber's in better shape than Justin Bieber right now. All right. Although there was that picture of Justin Bieber wearing a Turning Point USA hoodie. I don't know if that's true or not. Is Justin Bieber a conservative? I have no idea. Let's go to the NHL. Do I really want to talk about every one of these games? There are only 5 of them. I don't know. I'm going to have one play. Let's hit them. Minnesota at the Rangers. All these games are in the evening. Rangers are coming off a pretty big win in an original 6 matchup against Montreal. Good win. Coming off 2 tough games, though, against Toronto and Montreal. Actually, really, they played 4 difficult opponents in a row. Washington, Edmonton, Toronto, Montreal. All 4 of those games are actually pretty close. Now they're coming back home, so they are technically returning home from a road trip, which I talk about as being kind of a bad spot because you were away from home for a bit. You got to get back to home life, although it was only a 2-game road trip that they stayed in the Eastern time zone. So I don't know how much of an effect that really will be. I think Toronto's still in the Eastern time zone. I might be wrong about that. But Quick was in net in the Montreal game, so they will have Shesterkin back in net here, who was their starting goalie, their top goalie here. But it is still a difficult spot for the Rangers, in my opinion. Minnesota coming in. They're below 500. I don't think Minnesota's a particularly good team, but I think they might actually be in a little bit better shape here. I think they might be in an angry mood because they came off a blowout loss to Washington, and they did not bounce back. They lost in overtime to Philadelphia. That is a bad Philadelphia team still, man. Minnesota also was not using their starting goalie in that one, Gustafsson. So Gustafsson will most likely be in net here unless there's an injury or something. But Wallstedt played in that game against Philadelphia. So to me, it looks like more of a bounce back spot for Minnesota. The problem I have with it is that it is still late in a road trip, which sometimes you get a little bit fatigued, and it is the 3rd game in 4 days, all in different cities, although at least the cities are close-ish. Washington, Philadelphia, New York. I can't quite get there at that one, but I would have a slight lean to Minnesota on that one. The money's disagreeing and coming in on the Rangers. I don't know, man. The Rangers are also still scoreless at home. They have 3 games at home, and they're 0-3 at home, and they haven't scored a goal yet at home, which is ridiculous. 84% of tickets, 96% of the cash on the Rangers, up from -120 to -130. To me, I don't really see it, so I would lean to Minnesota, but I'm not going to have money on that. The game I'm going to be playing is the Seattle-Philadelphia game, so I have to talk about that shitty game, which I'll talk about in a second. Buffalo at Montreal. Montreal's coming up that loss to the Rangers. Still a tough loss, man. I know the Rangers have struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season. I think the Rangers you will see improvement once they get used to having Sullivan there as their coach and whatever, and once the guys have kind of bought into his system, whatever. I do expect the Rangers to start doing better. Montreal is a pretty decent team, though. I mean, young team, made the playoffs last year, but not only was that loss to a pretty decent opponent in the Rangers, a tough matchup, they only lost by 1 goal, but it also broke a 4-game win streak for Montreal. And by the way, if you look at Montreal's resume so far, they've lost their games to the two good opponents they faced, Toronto and New York, the Rangers. Their wins are against Detroit. That's their best win. I know Detroit's off to a really good start. Still don't think Detroit is really as good as their record looks. But their other wins are Chicago, Seattle in overtime, and Nashville in overtime. Not an impressive resume so far from Montreal, even though the 4-2 record looks good. They are still staying at home, but coming off a tough game, when you lose a win streak like that, sometimes that will hang you over. They're playing a team that's maybe a little bit under the radar, so I don't love the spot for Montreal, but I also don't love the spot for Buffalo, obviously, because Buffalo just beat Florida, the returning champs, and now they have to go up to Montreal for one game. Coming off an 8-4 win over Ottawa prior to that Florida game, too, so two really good-looking wins, and they haven't given Lyon a day off yet, so I don't know if he's going to be in net again in this one or not. They might decide to rest their goalie at some point, although here it says Lyon is projected to be the starter here. Canadians will definitely go with Montembeault because he didn't play in their last game, I'm pretty sure. Buffalo, we don't even know if it's going to be Lyon or whoever their backup is, although I don't think either goalie is really that good, but it looks like a letdown spot to me for Buffalo, and they've also only played one game on the road so far, and it was a loss at Boston. So they haven't played on the road much. It's a spot where I really honestly wouldn't want to play either team, but I think the Buffalo letdown spot of shutting out Florida actually is a worse spot than what Montreal is in right now. So I actually do lean to Montreal. I would agree with the money in this one. Montreal's up from -138 to -151. 83% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Montreal. Slight agreement on that one, but, I mean, I wouldn't want to touch that game. I don't think either team is in a playable spot there. You're not going to hedge. Man. Honestly, I don't know, man. I mean, it depends how much money you have at stake. Like, if it's just a small bet, then I guess just let it ride. But Toronto is going to have the home advantage. Like, whichever team wins the ALCS is going to have the home advantage, I believe, over the Dodgers. So there is that. But the Dodgers are not unbeatable, but I don't know, man. That starting pitching rotation is the best that there is. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, Toronto has a good offense, so they could potentially do that. But Phillies had a good offense. They couldn't do it. Brewers' offense wasn't as good, though. The Brewers, they scored a decent amount of runs this year, but they don't hit for a lot of power. But the Phillies are like a comparable offense to Toronto's own. The Dodgers easily dispatched the Phillies, too. So, I don't know, man. If there's any rotation that can hold Toronto's bats down, it would be the Dodgers. Toronto is without Santander now and Bichette, so they have lost a couple of their bats. Which, I still don't think that affects them that much, but it has a little bit of an effect. Winnipeg at Calgary. This game, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Calgary has not won since their opener, which was a play on my show. They got the win against Edmonton in a shootout. Haven't won since. They could very easily be a winless team right now. They played a somewhat difficult schedule, though. They played 4 road games so far. They played Vegas twice. St. Louis. Utah actually doesn't look like that bad of a team right now. Vancouver's okay. Now they're playing another difficult team in Winnipeg, and Calgary's returning home from a road trip. They've been away since the 15th. It was only a 2-game road trip. Still technically a road trip return, though, and they're coming back up from Utah and Vegas, so the distance is a little bit of something. They do have to return home. They do have to get back to home life. Although I don't think they're going to overlook Winnipeg, though. Everybody knows Winnipeg is good. Coming off a 6-1 loss for Calgary, I still think they're going to have some focus in this game. Winnipeg 4-1, off to a good start here after they lost their opener, which I think that was a loss for me on this show here. They lost 5-4 to Dallas. Winnipeg since then has won every game, but their biggest win is against the LA Kings at home. Their other wins are not that impressive. Islanders, Flyers, Nashville. But Calgary is also not an impressive team, which, by the way, I should have also said about Buffalo, because Montreal has only beaten bad teams, but Buffalo qualifies as a bad team as well. Calgary certainly also does. Winnipeg, they're not quite as good on the road typically. I mean, at least they weren't last year, but Both their wins on the road have been pretty easy wins, 5-2 wins. They're not really in a spot where they're going to be like looking ahead to anything or in a letdown spot or anything like that. So it might be a spot where Winnipeg does show up. So I wouldn't fade Winnipeg in this one, man, even though you get Calgary as a home underdog here, but I wouldn't want to do it. Winnipeg is public, 95% of the tickets, 97% of the cash. They're up from minus 145 to minus 148 on the money line. I just don't really, to me, it looks like the spot is actually a little bit worse for Calgary. So I wouldn't want to do it, but I mean, would I want to lay a road price with Winnipeg here as a really public favorite? No, I wouldn't. So, I mean, this is the game that I have the least of an opinion on. Calgary and Winnipeg play again in 3 to 4 games. Flames in a desperation spot here. I don't know, man. Vegas, Utah, now coming back home from that. If you force me to lean in this game, I would slightly lean to Winnipeg, but I mean, no way I'm going to give that out as a play. Carolina at Vegas is probably the best game, maybe the only good game really on the slate here. Carolina now 5-0 after we lost with the Kings with my last minute play on the show the other night. A 4-3 overtime loss, absolutely brutal with Bussy in net for Carolina. Both teams had their second string goalie in net for that game. That does mean that Anderson is going to be back in net this time for Carolina. Carolina also doing this, by the way, with 3 straight road wins now, but Vegas is going to be the most difficult opponent they've faced so far. They have not faced an opponent as good as Vegas so far. Yeah, they're going to show up for it, but maybe it is the spot where Carolina finally drops a game. Both teams are going to show up for this, I would imagine. Both teams have no regulation losses. Vegas, both their losses are overtime or a shootout. They did lose to the Kings, so people might see that and say, oh, Carolina beat the Kings. The Kings beat Vegas, so Carolina should beat Vegas here, right? Vegas has actually had a pretty easy schedule, though. Since facing the Kings, they've faced San Jose, Seattle, Calgary twice, and Boston. None of those teams are very good. So Vegas had an easy schedule so far, but I do think they're going to step it up for this game. They do have momentum, at least right now, after 3 straight wins. They easily took care of Calgary again, even though Calgary was in a road revenge angle there. It didn't even matter. I don't know who the goalie is going to be for Vegas in this one. When I looked here, it looked like it was slated to still be Hill, who is sort of their first string goalie, but they've been using him and Schmidt equally. Hill is probably still the better of the 2 goalies. I don't love either goalie, to be honest, but I don't know, man. A spot like this, Carolina, maybe a little bit fatigued here, still on the road. I mean, I'm tempted to say Vegas is the lead in this game, but the money is coming in against it. Vegas down from minus 117 to minus 110 on the money line. 74% of tickets on Vegas, 59% of the cash on Carolina. I don't exactly see it. I'm going to be honest. I don't. I think the travel spot's a lot better for Vegas. They got momentum. They're just staying at home. Carolina having to step up in class more here. Both teams are having to step up in class for this game. So the scheduling, the strength of schedule is somewhat weak on both sides here. But Carolina, they're in the middle of a road trip here. They're having to do travel and coming off that win, in overtime over LA 2 nights ago. I think the spot is a little bit worse for them, even though it's not like the travel is that insane. The last few games, Anaheim, LA, Vegas, all of those are fairly close to each other, but still, I'm going to lean to Vegas in that one and disagree with the market, but a very small lean there. All right. And then my play, this is the best bet segment anyway, man. Whole show's best bets. We're going to go with Philadelphia, minus 130. That is the play. The money seemingly is agreeing with this, up from minus 122 to minus 126. Maybe you can find a better number than minus 130 out there. 61% of tickets, 75% of the cash on Philadelphia. This is a play against Seattle, though. I mean, I don't think Seattle's that good. They're sitting at 3-0-2 right now, so they have no regulation losses so far, but they also have not been as good on the road. And this is going to be their 4th straight road game with 1 day off in between each game, but they're kind of doing a lot of travel here, man. They had to do the Canada leg, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto. That's not that easy. They got a win over Toronto in the last game in overtime. Their last 4 games have all been overtime games. with the Ottawa one going to a shootout as well. So this could be a pretty fatigued Seattle team right now, man. 4 overtime games in a row, 3 overtime games since October 14th, all in different cities. That's not easy. And now they're coming off finally getting a win in one of them against Toronto. They do have a couple of good wins, no doubt, against Vegas and Toronto. They faced some difficult teams. Montreal and Ottawa are not that bad either, but I think it could be a sandwich spot here at this point, man. I think it could be a little bit of a letdown off of that big overtime win over Toronto. Always pretty big when you beat Toronto. Now you have to go and face the Philadelphia Flyers. Not a good team who I don't think is really going to attract that much attention. And after this, they have to play Washington tomorrow. And then they have to go all the way to Winnipeg, and then they get Edmonton. Then they get Montreal again in revenge. And then the Rangers, if that matters. But if you're looking at the schedule, this looks like the flat spot to me, man. This looks like the one team that they might overlook through that entire stretch. So I think it is a pretty bad spot for Seattle. It looks like a spot where they might get caught. They will probably have Decord back in net again because he is their goalie who plays the majority of games. Grubauer is their backup. Decord played in that game against Toronto, so he's not going to be totally fresh here, but I assume it will be him again because he did have a break between the 14th and the 18th. He's a decent goalie, but I still think it's a bad spot here, man, for Seattle. Philadelphia, off to a 2-2-1 start, which isn't too bad. They did have a win over Florida. They actually played Florida and Carolina pretty close prior to that, and they do have an overtime win against Minnesota. Minnesota's not that bad of a team either, and their other loss was a winner for me on the show with Winnipeg. A winner for us, baby, because I give out those plays. Philadelphia's had a pretty difficult schedule, man. They haven't really had any let-up. Like, Seattle is actually going to be the least team that they've faced so far, I would say. Despite the fact they're 3-0-2 so far, I think Seattle might be the worst team that Philadelphia is going to have faced so far. So it's actually a step down in class for Philadelphia. I know they're also coming off an overtime game, but at least they're still staying at home. I don't know if it's going to be Vladar or Erson in net here. It looked like it was slated to be Vladar, according to this website here. I don't know if it actually will be because they've been alternating goalies. But for Philadelphia, just like last year, I don't think it matters which goalie it is, to be honest. I know they've lost both Erson games so far. Both their wins came with Vladar in net. He's played better than Erson, but I don't think it matters that much. I just think the spot is terrible for Seattle. So the play is going to be on Philadelphia in that game, and that is the hockey play. Yes, Seattle playing Washington tomorrow on the road in a back-to-back, which I think is a look-ahead spot. Fernando, what's up, man? Both teams coming off of overtime. Should that be an automatic under? I would say not necessarily because the fatigue can affect the defense as well. I don't do a whole lot with NHL totals. I was mostly an over player in the NHL. We don't see anything with the market on this yet as far as like where the money's coming in on the total here. Total's at 5.5, juice to the over. I might actually lean to an over in that game. I mean, I don't trust either goal. Like, I'm not sure I trust either goaltending situation, to be honest. Like, either team's goalie. I think the defense could be a little bit fatigued after doing that. So, but I mean, you're right. It might slow down the offense too, but I think it takes more effort to play defense than offense. So that's kind of the way that I see it. But again, I'm not really much of a totals guy, although I did only play overs in hockey last year. And when I was playing overs, it would kind of be like those are the only totals I played in hockey. I'm almost entirely a side player. The only totals I really do are baseball, but when I did do totals last year in the NHL, they were all overs, and they tended to be in spots like kind of like this, where I thought the teams were both like fatigued. But I kind of wanted to do it more when I thought the teams might be unfocused too, because playing defense also requires focus. I don't know if that answers your question. It's kind of a vague answer, but I would have a slight opinion on the over in that game. That would be my opinion, but I don't know what I'm talking about. So NFL, we have the 2 Monday night games here, and this will be the way that we end the show. We always end the show on football, man, because I have to save the thing that everybody likes the best for last. We have another one of these stupid Monday night doubleheaders, although this one is actually a doubleheader because you get both games televised by ESPN, and they're separated by 3 hours. The first game is going to be on ABC and ESPN, so I think if the first game runs into the start time of the second game, The first game will remain televised on ABC, and ESPN is going to switch to the second game, I think. I don't know. Tampa at Detroit is the first game. Detroit, as I pointed out on my show on Saturday night when I did the NFL show, Detroit moved up from a 4.5-point favorite to a 6-point favorite. And we did say that it looked like Detroit was the public side. It looked like based on the ticket percentage, and it looked like less of the money was on Detroit, but now it's looking like that may not be the case. And like I said, I didn't think that was really the case. I thought that was actually a legitimate move on Detroit, up from 4.5 to 6. I thought that was actually professional money coming in on that side, and I didn't think that it was a fake move either, because if you're planning on taking Tampa Bay plus the points, like, why does it matter if it's through these dead numbers of 5, 5.5? Those are not key numbers, so it didn't make sense that it would be like professionals trying to like dummy up the line to get a better number. They're not going to try to get it to go all the way to 7, because it's not going to happen, and it didn't happen. 65% of tickets and cash now on Detroit. I think the line move was legit, so I'm still leaning to Detroit in this game. I think Detroit is in a bounce-back spot here. I know they're coming off a high-profile game against Kansas City, but they didn't look good in that game. It was a second straight road game. I leaned to Kansas City in that game on my show. The game, I think, was worse. Like, the score makes it look worse than it actually was, too, because Kansas City got a lot of helpful reffing calls in that game, too. When you have a team that looked really bad in primetime like Detroit did, sometimes the public will have a tendency to not really want to be on them as much as well. And I think that team has a tendency to bounce back. And they do at least have an extra day of rest here, because I know they played on Sunday night. So if they had to turn around and play on Sunday, they might be on somewhat shorter rest. They still have a little bit less rest than Tampa does, but they get to come back home here and they get to play on Monday instead of Sunday. So I think that's fine. I think it's a bounce back spot for Detroit. We saw what they did after they lost their opener on the road to Green Bay. They bounced back in a big way and absolutely destroyed Chicago. So I think if they can come out and do that, I think they're going to do it. And as I pointed out on my show the other night, this is actually a revenge spot for Detroit as well. I don't know how much that really factors into it, but they did lose at home to Detroit. They lost at home to Tampa Bay early in the season last year. So Detroit probably remembers that. That was a big revenge spot for Tampa Bay in that game last year, because Detroit had eliminated Tampa from the playoffs the year prior to that. Tampa came into Detroit in week 2 last year, and they beat Detroit. So now I think the shoe is kind of on the other foot here. I think Detroit is going to want to show up and beat these guys. I mean, both teams are going to show up, but I actually think Tampa is somewhat overrated, as I've been pointing out. Tampa, 4 of their 5 wins, they were losing 4 of those 5 games in the final, basically like 2 minutes of the game. They were losing in the final minutes of the games against Atlanta, Houston, the Jets, and Seattle. So how good is this Tampa team? I think they're probably going to be a playoff team at this point, but just like I thought last year, I think they're a bit overrated right now, man. Like, those games all came down to basically coin flips. They could have easily lost all of those games, and law of averages basically says they should have lost 2 out of the 4, basically, because, it's like if you have 4 coin flips, that's just kind of the law of averages. So Tampa Bay, kind of a misleading 5-1, where they could easily be 3-3 right now for sure. And they were getting blown out by Philadelphia at home too, so that was somewhat of a misleading final score too, after Philadelphia just completely stopped playing in the second half of that game for whatever reason. I think this is a difficult spot, man. Tampa, their games on the road, yes, they won both of them, but those are both wins they pulled out of their ass. The one against Seattle had a very beat-up defense in that one. I don't think it's going to be the same here, man. Detroit is kind of a different animal. Tampa's coming off a nice win over San Francisco, which makes Tampa look even better, because San Francisco looked pretty good last night, but especially defensively. But still, San Francisco was in a bad spot in that one, having to travel east off of an upset of the Rams. San Francisco was kind of in a letdown spot there. So I still think this is not a great spot for Tampa. I think maybe that win doesn't even look as great as it was. The game could have been closer than it was as well on the scoreboard with San Francisco there. I think San Francisco had a couple of turnovers, so I still think Tampa Bay, their record is more misleading than Detroit's record. Let's just put it that way. And I always kind of talk about when you have a team, you have two good teams like this. You have a one-loss Tampa team and I believe a two-loss Detroit team, and Detroit is favored by close to a touchdown. The public has a tendency to think that that line is too high, so I tend to think that the favorite actually is the way to look in most of those games, and that way you also know that if you play the favorite, you're playing on a good team because they're favored for a reason over another team that has a good record. The odds makers are telling you that that's a good team in Detroit. The way the odds makers are lining Detroit, they're lining them like one of the best teams in the NFL, which, is probably the case. They're probably one of the top like 3 teams in the NFL. It does look like the cash percentage is still a little bit off of Detroit here, but I will lean to Detroit in this one. The total's very high, down from 53.5 to 53. 90% of tickets on the over, 87% of the cash on the over. So the money is kind of saying the under here. It almost looks too easy to take the over. The public's going to be all over the over because they like both of these offenses. They like the quarterbacks, whatever. I could see it being more of a playoff atmosphere and potentially being a lower scoring game. Wouldn't really want to have money on it, though. But I think the way to play it is still laying the points with the Lions, although I would, it's certainly not going to be one that's a play for me. Fernando, you like the under? I'm not going to disagree with that, but it seems dangerous, although that's what they want you to think. That's why the public will just go on this over, even though it's a pretty big total. Last year's game between these two teams in the same stadium went way under that number, though. I think the final score was 20-16, so something to keep in mind there. I don't think it's going to be that low scoring again, but it could be, again, it could be a playoff type of atmosphere in this one where the teams are feeling each other out. These teams have played each other a decent amount of times in high-profile games over the last couple of years, too, so they kind of know each other's tendencies a bit, too. So there is that. You like Mike Evans' anytime touchdown. I don't like that one, man. I don't love the touchdown props just because the touchdowns are just so fluky, man. Like you're basically just relying on luck for it. And Mike Evans, you're correct, he's coming back in this game, but I think that's going to overhype him even more. I think that the number on the Evans anytime touchdown, it's probably like one of the numbers that has the least value out there because everybody knows he's coming back, so everybody's going to want to play him to score a touchdown. I think you're not getting anywhere near good enough odds on that. It might happen, but I wouldn't do that as a grinder who I only want to have my money where I think I have an edge, and I don't think that I would have an edge on that one. For fun, why not? I guess if you like Evans, and the Buccaneers are missing their other targets, so I can see the argument that way where the Buccaneers are without what's his name, Egbuka or whatever, and Egbuki Boo, and Godwin is hurt again too. So yeah, Evans, if he's healthy, he will most certainly factor into their offense. But I also don't know how much he's going to factor in just because they kind of have to ramp him up again, right? Like he has to get used to playing in an actual game again. So that would kind of worry me about that too. Lions 13-10 at home on Monday Night Football. That includes back when the Lions sucked, I am assuming, and right now they don't suck. So even when they blew ass, they were still winning at home. On Monday night. Tower King at BC, what's up, man? Doug Martin, there's some weird stuff going on with that one, man. We had two professional athletes who played like during the period of time where I was like young and watching sports. Not even that young either for me. Like this was like fairly recent. Yeah, Doug Martin, the muscle hamster, Boise State running back, Tampa Bay running back. Does that mean Tampa is going to actually have a little bit of extra motivation for the Doug Martin death spot? I don't know, man. Is Tampa going to like honor him? They're not at home though, so I don't know. Like, is that going to motivate them a little bit? I don't know because he hasn't played on that team for a while. I don't think it's really a factor, but who knows? Doug Martin, there's a lot of weird stuff that like they have not released his cause of death, and I've seen some stuff coming out that he was like posting some weird stuff online. Like, I don't know, man. To me, it looked like he was maybe in trouble with something drug related. I don't know, but maybe it could have been that he overdosed or suicided or something. I honestly have no idea, but it could have been that maybe even it potentially could have been homicide. I have no clue. There's some really weird stuff going on with that one, and they have not like no source has released anything about the cause of death, which is not the case with the other death that happened yesterday. Jesus Montero, who was on the Seattle Mariners, who are also playing tonight. So I don't know if that's going to be a motivator for Seattle tonight. I don't know, because he hasn't played for a while, but he played like back when I used to watch baseball. He played not that long ago. I believe he was an infielder, if I'm not mistaken. I forget. I might be wrong about that. I do remember him. But he died, I believe, in his home country of Venezuela. He died in a car accident. I saw some people saying that it was like somebody else was DUI and hit him or something like that. I'm not sure if that part of it is true or not. But the news sources immediately reported that one was a car accident, though. So that's why I think the Doug Martin thing is, like, there's something really strange going on with that one. But anyway, yeah, that's, RIP to those dudes, man. I kind of liked both of them. I remember a little bit more about Doug Martin just because he was a tiny dude. That's why he was the muscle hamster. He was like Jose. He was not very tall and very wide and muscular and just, he ran with a lot of effort. He was a punishing running back. He was also a good pass catcher. I did actually compare Scattaboo to him, although Scattaboo's a little bit taller than Doug Martin, but they're still kind of small-ish running backs that just put in a ton of effort and take a bunch of hits and don't care, and and they catch passes as well. Texans and Seahawks. The Seahawks are up from a 2.5-point favorite to a 3-point favorite with juice. Money has come in on the Seahawks. 67% of tickets, 75% of the cash on the Seahawks. They're public as well. Obviously, because they have a good record so far. The public is not going to want to be in this Texans team whose offense has just been ass for like 2 years now, whereas the public likes what the Seahawks offense looks like, although I don't know. I still don't know if I'm sold on Sam Darnold, man. I'm sorry. The total in this game is low, down from 42 to 41. 71% of tickets on the over, 52% of the cash on the under. It looks like there's no way you'd want to try to play an under in this game, but it might happen because the Seahawks, if their defense is healthy, if they get those guys back who are out the last couple of games, their defense will be at least decent, and they're facing a weak offense here with the Texans, who have a lot of injuries on that offense. And the Texans' defense is actually good, and their pass defense is pretty good, so they might be able to slow down the Seahawks' attack. So I wouldn't really disagree with an under in this one. I do think it's going to be an ugly game, and pretty much everybody's going to want to watch that first game between Tampa and Detroit with those two offenses. Nobody's really going to want to watch Houston and Seattle late at night. I'm not sure the spot is that good for Seattle either, and I'm still not sure if I'm sold on Seattle. Like I said, their wins are against Pittsburgh in a game where Pittsburgh made a bunch of mistakes, and I don't think Pittsburgh is really as good as their record looks. They beat New Orleans, and it wasn't really a blowout statistically either. The score was a blowout, but the game was closer on the stat sheet. They barely beat Arizona, and they beat Jacksonville when Jacksonville was in a major letdown spot on a short week off of that win over the Kansas City Chiefs. So still not totally impressed with Seattle's resume. I know Houston's not the best of teams, but again, I think Houston's defense might be able to keep their team in this game here, man. I do think Seattle's going to be a bit too public here. It's not necessarily a bad spot for them, but they did go out to the Eastern time zone, and now they're having to travel back again. So they've been doing a bunch of travel, man. They had a Thursday game. They had to go to Arizona. They came back home, played Tampa Bay in a high-scoring shootout. Then they had to go back over. They had to go all the way to the East Coast. Now they're coming back to the West Coast. All of that with no weeks off yet. They're zigzagging across the country, which is not that easy. Houston is coming out of a bye. So Houston definitely has a rest advantage, and that might help with the fact that they're having to go to the West Coast, because I talk about this when a team that's in one of the more Eastern time zones has to go to the West Coast and play a really late night game like this. It's going to end like midnight, 1 a.m. their time or whatever. That's bad for their biological clock because you get like fatigued at the end of the day. So it's not the easiest spot for Houston, but the fact they had a week off, maybe they actually went out to the Pacific. I don't know when they went out there, but maybe they went out there a little bit earlier to get themselves acclimated to the time zone shift and whatever. I don't know if they did. Hopefully they did. If you want Houston here. I know it didn't work out for the fucking Jaguars yesterday in London. The Jags were used to doing that. They went out there early and they just got smacked, at least on the scoreboard. But I think statistically that game was actually closer than the score looked. But man, that was bad for the Jaguars. Houston, I mean, at least, yes, they do have that extra week off. But I don't know how helpful that week off is going to be, because I talk about these buys. When you get a buy and you go into the buy on a really good note, which Houston did. Houston got their first 2 wins. They shut out Tennessee, and I know Tennessee's not that good, but you shut anybody out in the NFL, you're going to be feeling pretty good about yourselves. Then they went into Baltimore, and I know it was Baltimore without Lamar Jackson, and Baltimore has some defensive injuries too, or they did then. But Houston annihilated them, which I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen. I wasn't shocked that Houston won the game, but I mean, I thought it was going to be a close call, but I am shocked that they won 44-10, and that's the way they went into the bye. So I don't know, man. I mean, that's not the way you want to go into a bye, because when you go into the bye on a really good note like that, you don't really have a whole lot to work on. You don't have a whole lot to fix. So in a way, that bye is not as much of a positive as it should be. So I do worry about that. So yeah, it's not a game that I want to play. I'm going to have a slight lean to Houston in this game right now, plus the points. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I'm going to stay away from. And that is going to do it, man. Hopefully that was helpful, informative, whatever. The plays today are going to be on the Blue Jays in the ALCS Game 7 money line. Minus 122. Obviously, get whatever the best price you can is. I wouldn't tell you not to play the first 5 innings in that game either, if that's the way you wanted to go with that. And the Philadelphia Flyers in hockey, minus 130. That's it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad, Instagram. Bettor Off Dead. Still got to change the name of the show. Like, subscribe to the channel, man. Everything helps me out. Give me some comments. Give me some positive stuff, man. Boost this thing up. Getting it monetized would be sweet. Getting some super chats, going live every morning with people would be pretty cool, man. We're also on the audio platforms, Apple, Spotify. If you give me a good review over there and listen over there, that helps me out too. The numbers have been going up over there at least, so that's good. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube, which I think I got it up to date yesterday. So now I just have to worry about my Patreon feed, patreon.com/learntotode. If you want to throw me some support, I do have prioritized requests, and I have a Spotify ukulele feed. I know Charles, I don't think Charles is in the chat right now, but I do have a, or was he in the chat? Who do we have in the chat? I lose my mind, man. We have Jeffrey, Impure, Saab, and Fernando today. All right. Yeah, no Charles this morning, but I know Charles wants me to do a Halloween song. I got to listen to that song again, and because there are a couple of parts of that song that I just don't remember how they go. It's going to be really stupid when I do it. It's probably not going to be that difficult of a song to do, but it's just like, I got to remember like how like the transitions go and how some of the like lesser known parts of the song go, but I'll do it for Charles. I mean, I have to, right? Because it's a prioritized request. I have to at least attempt it. I think there are going to be some that I have to say no to. I'm not going to say no to that one, but Charles, if you're out there, I know you sent me one. I'm going to do it prior to the end of the month. I'm going to do it because we got to get it done before Halloween at some point. So I'm going to do it. That's going to do it for me for now. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I appreciate it. Let's get some wins again today after a losing day yesterday. Let's get back on track because the last month or so has been good. I know it's slowed down a little bit, but you always have swings when you're doing this, man. You want to just kind of avoid having really serious downturns. But yeah, hopefully we get back on track here. I know we're playing 2 favorites here, so to win money, we actually need them both to win. So that's a difficult position to be in. 1-1 wouldn't be awful. It would be a slight loss, but I want both wins, so let's get it. Thank you, sir. Fernando, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming back, man. Haven't seen you in a while. That's going to do it for now, man. Have a good Monday, a good start to the week. We got a case of the Mondays here, man. I think it's raining out here, too. I can hear the rain. It feels very dark outside because usually it is light out by now. It's almost 11 a.m. Like, why is it not light out? I think it's a very dark and rainy day here in the Boston area. That's going to do it for now. Peace, guys.